even as we have a shelter-in-place, medical experts say it may be a while before we see a decrease in the number of cases in Michigan. But as Dr. Adam Rosh tells us, that doesn't mean you should stop social distancing. Dr. Adam Rosh has been joining us throughout this entire crisis to talk about what we need to know. He was one of the first to really accentuate how important it is to social distance, and he was locally saying this is not an option, this is not an elective, this is something that you have to do. And now, Dr. Rosh, we join you again to talk to you about where we're at right now. When you take a look at the numbers in general, is this exactly how you had predicted this would go so far?
Yeah, it's good to be with you, Roop. This is where we are expected. Nothing's expected other than that what we know from the progression of other countries. And so New York City right now and really the entire eastern seaboard is ground zero. And lots of the other densely populated areas and cities around the country are, as you see, increasing in numbers. In particular, Michigan is right up there in a top 5, and we're going to continue to see that type of expansion of infections.
We take a look at the governor's order for everybody to stay home. How quickly do we see the effects of that? And if people are following this, how much of a difference is this going to make?
That's right. So 2 weeks minimum before we start seeing an impact or a slowing of the numbers. There is some good news potentially out of New York City that the number of new cases and deaths may be declining, particularly the number of deaths may be declining. And hopefully that persists. We don't know for sure. But here's really the takeaway. Unlike a hurricane or a tornado warning that we're given, we have a few days to prepare and then it passes. This does not just pass. There's not going to be an all-clear signal to go outside and go back to your day-to-day life. We are going to be impacted by this for weeks to months, no matter what happens, because the minute we get comfortable and begin to gather and come together in groups again is when the infectivity rates are going to climb again.
And so right now, the social distancing we're exercising, that is something that you always want to stress. So leave us with some parting words here about why that's so critical and why everyone should be taking that seriously.
So it's important that we don't have a false optimism that develops. We're inside, the weather's starting to warm up, the streets are quiet, and eventually, right, you start thinking like, oh, it can't be so bad outside. And I want to change it. Instead of saying a false optimism, I think we should have a pragmatic optimism, meaning that everyone seems to now be on board. The governments are on board. And these are the steps that are needed. And we're on the right course. And so being on this course, we will see an end to this. Just continue to socially or physically distance, continue good hygienic behaviors. And what we do today is, again, going to impact how quick this resolves itself and we get back to normal.
Dr. Rosh, always good to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome, Roop.